The tallest trees in the world once blanketed the coast of Northern California.
When you think about the size of the trees, the canopy that provides, it affects the temperature, it affects the water flow coming through an old-growth forest. The size of the trees that are on the ground, those are also storage sponges for water.
White settlers were at first unaware that lumber from these redwood trees was a tight-grained, rot-resistant building material and a standing fortune. Pacific Lumber Company was founded in 1863 by two lumbermen on some of the most productive forest in the country. And the family that ran the company gained a reputation for conservative logging. But those huge assets and limited debt made the company vulnerable. And in 1985, a Houston financier launched a successful takeover for the 200,000 acres and several mills. The new Pacific Lumber started harvesting timber at 2 to 3 times the previous rate. With old-growth redwoods falling rapidly and environmentalists growing concerned about extensive clear-cuts and damaged streams, protests became routine and sometimes violent. Loggers and environmentalists were pitted against each other. The company went bankrupt 20 years later, and the owner in Texas lost control. A creditor teamed up with another company to rebuild Pacific Lumber as the Humboldt Redwood Company.
They made a commitment that they were going to practice sustainable forestry, save old growth, restore watersheds, and practice selective harvesting. And they have been able to do that.
Today, Humboldt Redwood runs a lean operation, logging a fraction of what Pacific Lumber cut 10 years ago. Its policy is to never cut old-growth trees or use traditional clear-cuts. Despite heavy logging during the past 2 decades, there are some big trees left.
The day that we took over the business, we started up operations again and went out and found these trees, marked them, and said, no, we're no longer cutting these trees.
Mainstream environmental groups like what they see.
Clearly, the reduction in the logging intensity on that piece of property will pay dividends ecologically over time.
But now, the lumber market has crashed, with new home construction falling sharply in a worsening economic crisis. The question now is whether Humboldt Redwood can survive.
We may have some short-term pain that we go through, but we're always looking ahead at what we're going to do next when things improve.
More than 200 jobs and the local economy depend on the company. So do thousands of acres of forest and streams and the wildlife that live there. The last remnants of privately held old-growth redwoods stand protected for now, and conservationists are watching closely.
Our estimate is Humboldt Redwoods Company owns about 10% of the world's remaining ancient redwood forests, and we have a very strong interest in seeing that protection extended throughout whoever owns the property into the future.
These vital timberlands and these ancient trees now face new threats in an increasingly complicated world. For Assignment Earth, I'm Gary Stryker.